Now, the arrested fugitive, Thabo Bester, had been on the run for almost a year before he was concerned in, he was found in Arusha, Tanzania. He escaped from the Mangaung G4S maximum security prison in Bloemfontein, where he was serving a life sentence for murder and multiple rape convictions. His arrest has been widely welcome. Let's discuss this further. We're joined by Golden Miles Bhudu from the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Miles Bhudu. And maybe let's discuss your overall impression or your initial impression on the developments around the Thabo Bester prison escape, the way that he lived lavishly for about a year before he was caught, and the developments of yesterday where they were caught by law enforcement authorities in Tanzania.
Good afternoon and good afternoon to your viewers. From the South African Organization for Human Rights point of view, we are not surprised that he has been reapprehended or rearrested. It was just a matter of time. You see, I don't understand in the first place, why did he escape and go and do shopping at one of the most luxurious areas in our country? Number two, if you escape from legal custody, unless you're going to hide at one of the planets, Mars or Jupiter, you don't even have to go to the moon, because humans are trafficking the moon every now and then. What was he thinking? Until when was he going to run? Because there is an old adage that says you can run, but you cannot hide. And we are also very saddened that he didn't take our advice, a fool's advice, a few weeks ago when we pleaded with him and his lover, Dr. Nandipha Maputumane, to hand themselves over to the law enforcement agencies, go and show remorse, maybe negotiate the bargaining plea, and so that they could open the floodgates and tell everybody else what really happened, because it's the two of them that know exactly what happened in terms who in fact started the thing, where was it planned, who executed it, so that everybody start to get an idea how this miraculous flop and inside watch job happened. But they never took that exercise. Now they've been arrested. And I hope that justice will not be done, but justice will be seen to have been done. And it must be a clear message to everybody who wants to escape from legal custody that you can run, but you cannot hide.
As a prisoners' organization, Mr. Miles Bhudu, what does this say about the rehabilitation efforts of a prison, or the systems that are created within a prison for rehabilitation? Because Thabo Bester, as we understand, had been serving quite a number of years already for the crimes that he had committed. But instead of reflecting and rehabilitating, it's almost like he was planning this escape for a while and then he succeeded. So are there concerns as the prisoners' organization about the rehabilitative efforts by prisons, whether they be privately run or publicly run, and the efforts that they are making at the moment?
Well, South African prisons was never designed to rehabilitate anybody. It is sad that 59 years down the line, the system is still struggling. What projects, what measures needs to be implemented that is long-lasting to rehabilitate? Now, rehabilitation is not something that falls out from heaven. You need to invest in rehabilitation, like you need to invest in the decriminalization of the masses of the South Africa, because we remain criminalized, because we have also agreed that apartheid was a crime against humanity, and whoever was a victim of apartheid remains criminalized. We need to establish a decriminalization foundation to get us decriminalized, and the real criminals could invest in that foundation so that we start projects. But let me come back to the rehabilitation thing. Rehabilitation is very simple. You start fighting crime, you start combating crime, you start dealing with crime and violence right from the beginning and the causes thereof. Because when you go to prison for rehabilitation, It's just a waste of taxpayers' money. And this prison, Mangaung G4S, was supposed to be one of the prisons, one of its kind. There are two of them in this country that has got everything, like in the films, in the prisons in the United States of America. That prison is run along the line of the United Kingdom prison penal system. There is everything. There is a program. There is a project. In the morning when you get up, you know exactly what you are going to do until 4 o'clock when you're going to be locked up. But still, it didn't work because it is a world that's not there. The correctional services world is a political world, and it is a human world of those people who are in charge that are not interested in doing the right thing. We are very suspicious that the reason why they don't want to rehabilitate, educate, train, and skills of offenders so that they come out law-abiding, useful and productive citizens is that they want them to go back into the vicious circle of falling back in the crime net, recidivism, and the revolving door syndrome, so that they keep on going in and out and then they keep their jobs. I've never heard a prison retrenching workers due to a lack of production. And I think that is the dilemma and the quagmire we sit here within this country.
Yeah. Now, as the South African Prisoners Organization of South Africa for Human Rights, rather, you are saying, or weighed in earlier this week as well, on the issue with the Gupta brothers, the developments that came out of there, that they will not indeed be extradited back into South Africa. You make a similar call to them, you know, for morality and just for the sake of justice being served, for them to come back into the country and hand themselves over to the right authorities. It's unlikely that that would happen, but as an organization, what is it that you would like to see in this particular case?
Well, we will retrieve our call for the head of the minister and his legs to roll. If the minister this time wake up and smell the coffee and does what needs to be done. I mean, these Gupta brothers were released in February already, and we are only told now because somebody saw them doing shopping in Switzerland. It's a joke. I mean, South Africa is becoming the laughingstock of the world. We will retrieve and retract our call for him to be sacked if he, in fact, also do what he wants to do now, to fly to Tanzania with the Minister of Police to go and get the facts, how they got there, how they were arrested, and bring them. I mean, if he does that, and we're also calling from the International Crime Police Organization, Interpol, to also have the same energy and same vigor to reapprehend the Bhutu brothers wherever they are and bring them back to this country, because they've got a case here to answer for. They have committed very serious crimes. The only thing is that you don't see the blood. They have committed violent crimes against the people of this country, and the reason why they get away with it, they do it through a stroke of a pen, not like the robbers that use an AK-47 bomb devices and firearms to get their loot. And the minister will have to show us that he is with the position that he was thrown into, or he was positioned into, to make sure that the Gupta brothers come here and they account for their crimes against humanity.
Finally, Mr. Miles Bhudu, you've been quite scathing against G4S and their conduct in this matter around Thabo Bester. So just your thought as an organization around the Department of Correctional Services taking control of the prison in Mangaung. Is that making a situation bad to worse? Or is the Department of Correctional Services the lesser evil? And I'm talking here when it comes to the management of the facility and also the management of the prisoners in those facilities as well.
Well, it's not the first time that something like this happened. If you read a book written by Ruth Hopkins, you will learn that this institution, there are only two of them, the other one is in Limpopo called Kutama Sentinel. This institution is known. It's known of dehumanization, torture. It is known of alienation and abuse of their power. I mean, if the Department of Correctional Services take over this institution, I don't know what the difference would there be, because organizations like us that have been in the struggle for many years on end, refuse access to this institution and the ordinary Department of Correctional Services in the country. They monitor themselves, they investigate themselves, they report to themselves, and work with another organization called the Judicial Inspectorate on Correctional Services that was established with the aim to keep us away and use them as doorkeepers. But well, I'm told that the contract is another 2-3 years to go. Then they will take over both private prisons, and that these prisons will belong to the government. But I don't know what difference will it make now, because we have been telling them since the contract was signed almost 23 years ago that we are totally against the privatization of prisons, because we have learned it's about profits. It's got nothing to do with the mandate of correcting, educating, training, skills development, so that you sit down with a product that is properly rehabilitated, properly reintegrated, so that people come out there and not easily go back there, because it is not a hotel there. That is prison, and prison was never supposed to be in the business of punishment, because punishment in prison is enough.
And of course, the business of making money, as you have indicated, this particular facility has become. Thank you very much, Mr. Golden Miles Bhudu, for joining us this afternoon. Some very interesting insights there around the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights views on the latest developments on Thabo Bester, but also weighing in on the Gupta case and wanting the Minister, Ronald Lamola, to take action against all parties involved with the utmost aggressiveness.